How good was Babe Didrikson? I'm going to go on record and say that she was the greatest athlete of all time.
She won 82 golf tournaments in her career.
I don't know of another male athlete or female athlete who could play that many sports and excel. She was a champion.
She made DiMaggio swing and miss and outplayed Sarrazin. She excelled at basketball, bowling, billiards, tennis, softball, diving, archery, golf, and 5 Olympic events. Babe Didrikson gave birth to the modern woman athlete.
As strong and enduring as the Rocky Mountains they stood beside, as visionary as the views of the Grand Plains they looked across, the women inducted into the Colorado Women's Hall of Fame are trailblazers whose work has improved and enriched our lives. They are teachers, scientists, ranchers, leaders in business, education, religion, and the arts. Women who have been recognized for their many contributions to our state, our country, and the world. I'm Renelda Muse, and these are the stories of great Colorado women.
Babe Didrikson. Babe once said, before I was even in my teens, I knew exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. My goal was to be the greatest athlete that ever lived. She didn't say she'd try basketball and see how she did, and if she didn't do too well, she'd try something else. She didn't say she'd try out for the softball team, and if she didn't make it, she'd quit. She said, before I was even in my teens, I knew exactly what I wanted to be when I grew up. My goal was to be the greatest athlete that ever lived.
She found her gift as a child. She knew what her mission was. She stated it. I want to be the world's greatest female athlete.
All-American in basketball, All-American in softball, national championships in track and field. The first woman in Olympic history to win 2 first-place gold medals.
Babe was a superstar in many, many sports. Baseball, track and field. She was a basketball player. She played pool.
I think she had this God-given talent to be a world's greatest woman athlete.
You may remember that she decided to take up golf.
She won 82 golf tournaments in her career, which is just unheard of.
Winning was the most important thing. If she was going to play, she was going to win.
When she was born, all of her stars were in place.
Babe was born in Port Arthur, Texas. She was well-liked in high school. She was, well-known as an athlete. Everybody knew she wanted to be the world's greatest woman athlete. She let it be known.
Babe's real name was Mildred. Her mother nicknamed her Babe because she was a great baseball player, and it was the Babe Ruth era.
We all call her Babe. None of us ever called her Mildred.
Babe Ruth was hitting home runs for the Yankees. Babe Didrikson was hitting home runs for her local baseball team.
So she got her nickname of Babe, and she kept it.
One of the things about Babe Didrikson is the era in which she competed. Late 20s, early 30s, late 30s, early 40s, and into the early 50s. This was pre-Title IX, before there was any law that promoted women in sports or forced administrators to offer sports for women.
Babe was an All-American basketball player. She played competitively for Employees Casualty Company out of Dallas.
Women's basketball at that time, the competitors competed for local companies, and companies would recruit, the best players in their area, and they'd come and they were given a job, but their job really was to compete in that sport. And basketball was a sport, and really, if you think about this, is right around the time of pre-World War II. Many of the men were moving off into other places, so to leave home and begin to make money as an athlete shows a whole lot of self-assurance and a lot of confidence that she knew she was that good, first of all, as an athlete, and secondly, she could promote herself. Babe Didrikson comes to Dallas to compete in basketball. and then shifted over into track and field.
Babe used to run the hedges, and she'd ask the neighbors to cut the hedges a certain height, so that would be Olympic-size hurdle. And she'd run down the street on the people's lawns jumping these hedges.
Track and field was an area where women could show their prowess as an athlete.
And she shows up solo to the Amateur Athletic Union tryouts for the Olympics.
By the next day, Babe had collected herself, winning 6 events and setting 4 world records. As the only representative of Employers Casualty, Didrikson won the team competition by herself.
And that's how she obtained a berth on the Olympic team. In the 1932 Olympics, Babe was only allowed to do 3 events: javelin, high jump, and the 100-yard hurdles. She won the javelin. She also won it in the 100 meters, barely, just by, sticking her chin out and hitting this tape. And then she won the silver in the high jump.
And no one in her family went to the Olympics to watch her. She was there alone, a young girl, alone.
To do that with obsolete training, when you make yourself go out without a coach, out to a track that you could find in the Dallas area, to train yourself, just think of how dedicated, but also a God-given talent in her ability to do these things.
There wasn't gear for women back in that era. There wasn't support, strength coaches. It was just a foreign notion that women were competitors. So the lack of support that she had in training, yet she was a champion, is just phenomenal in what she was able to do.
Babe should have been embraced as an American hero. Instead, she was treated unevenly by a press that could not reconcile her sex with her athletic accomplishments.
Those medals, she put them away.
What was the world going to do with a woman that won so many medals?
She couldn't make any money off of it either. What do you do when you're an Olympic star?
So she played the harmonica in vaudeville.
She did a lot of other things to keep her name in the papers. Babe did cut a record for Mercury Records called Detour. She was a self-promoter. She'd get out there and she'd do some calisthenics on the stage, and people would say, "Oh, let's go see Babe Didrikson."
She did a little tap dance. She didn't even know how to tap dance. She just put it all together.
She sang. She was had a lot of charisma. So you were able to go and watch her play and had fun watching her play, and people were drawn to that.
Another thing that was amazing about Babe was that she did play Major League Baseball.
Babe Didrikson pitched 3 or 4 innings against Major League Baseball players. And that takes a whole lot of courage to wind up and stand directly in front of a powerful hitter, somebody like Babe Ruth, Joe DiMaggio, people that could, line drive it right back to the pitcher.
She did strike out Ted Williams.
There's not very many women in the 30s and 40s. There's no female, I don't think even currently, who would stand up and do that. That is another one of her many achievements.
Just like she played on the House of David baseball team, which was a lot of old bearded guys, traveling around the country. Something like the Harlem Globetrotters, doing these exhibition baseball games, and she played on their team as the only female.
Well, her other sports, I knew she liked to swim. And I remember when she was at the Olympics, her and another girl that was on the swim team for the Olympics went back into the pool. Everything was closed down for the night. Everyone should have been in bed and so on. And those two went back to the pool. And Babe had told her, she says, wow, I should have joined the swim team because I could do this. And so then they jumped in the water, and of course, Babe swam it. And I think the other swimmer was a little put off, that here I've trained and trained and trained, and then somebody just jumps in the water, and she does it in record time.
One of the things that Babe Didrikson could do is have transferable skills. So she could throw a baseball, she could hit a baseball a mile, and to be able to transfer that skill into hitting a golf ball.
She whacked that ball. After that ball left that tee, you could hardly see it.
She could hit it as far as any guy.
Learning golf at age 24 is very difficult.
She had to work hard at it. It's not an easy sport, and she would practice from sunup to sundown. She had that determination.
And a lot of times for an athlete, it's not just your athleticism, it's also your will to win.
And to learn at age 24, it took a lot of drive and a lot of practice and good instruction. And she, as I said earlier, she really used the God-given talent that was given to her.
Before her very first tournament, she practiced 12 to 16 hours a day. She would drill and drill and drill on all the different shots until her hands were blistered, many days bleeding. She went on to win every available golf tournament, but the secret of her success, 12 to 16 hours of practice a day.
And the fact that she not just competed, she won championships, so many championships, shows her competitive spirit.
But it is extremely hard to do as well as she did right off the bat, because I think she won her first tournament 2 years after she learned how to play golf.
She had mind over matter. I think in her mind she had so much confidence and so much fine-tuning that she was going to show the world, yes, a woman can do it. She did it, and she loved to play.
Babe Didrikson Zaharias, winner of the British Women's Amateur Golf Crown.
I must say that I've just completed the greatest thrill of my life, and that was going over to England and Scotland and win the British Amateur Championship. It has never been won by an American woman, and I'm the first one.
She just made it look easy for average golfers to go, oh, I think I want to work on my game and get better at that.
And everybody thinks of Babe as a big, gigantic woman, 5'6", very slender.
For Babe to go from playing basketball in the 1932 track and field, the Olympics, and then shift over into professional golf, what she was able to do is avoid serious injury, and I would say a lot of that is due to the fact that she did continue to switch sports and not have the overuse injuries, shin splints, rotator cuff, ACLs. You see so many women basketball players with ACLs currently because they're playing basketball year-round. She switched off, and it probably prolonged her career.
That goes back to her fine-tuning her nervous system, her muscular structure.
She achieved so much in all of the sports that she did, but golf is one of her true loves. Babe was playing in a golf event in LA, and apparently she had met a man named George Zaharias.
He's a big-time wrestler, very famous on his own right. She wanted to play as an amateur, and he was going to play, but he was paired with her. He says, I ain't going to play with no girl. Then they meet, and a spark just happens. And they played, and they went out for dinner, and they had a lot of fun, and I think they fell in love right away. And I think they dated 3 or 4 months or something like that, and then got married.
They had a great marriage. He was off doing his thing promoting. She was playing golf. So they had two different careers, and they didn't collide. Each one of them respected each other's career.
And she ended up in Colorado because of George's connections. He was born right here in Pueblo, Colorado, and he lived in Denver.
He did a lot of promoting there. She did a lot of golf.
She loved Denver.
It was a little bit quieter for her.
She was well known for playing a lot of golf in Denver. I think she played a lot at Fitzsimmons as well as Lakewood.
When Babe would play with the Lakewood Club men members here, she would play from the same men's tees that they play from. She wouldn't play from the front ladies' tees. And they would be betting on the round, and I think that she would win most of the time.
She was also promoting herself. When she went from stop to stop, she had a lot of media attention.
My Aunt Babe was asked to play in the movie starring Spencer Tracy and Katharine Hepburn. And she was to play herself. And Katharine Hepburn was playing sort of a Babe figure. And Babe was going to play a match against this character that Katharine Hepburn was playing.
One contender still to be. Yes, here she comes now, the mighty Babe. We'll have her score for you in just a second. Here it is now. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, the top score of the day. Mrs. Babe Didrikson Zaharias has just qualified with a sensational 73.
And supposedly beat Katharine Hepburn. And Hepburn didn't like that because in the script, Hepburn was supposed to win. But Babe said, I'm not being in this movie unless I win. And that was a big thing with Babe. She wanted to win. Hepburn and her kind of clashed a little bit. Babe says, well, she's just full of herself, you know.
She was always joking, always having fun, always the center of attention. She liked the attention.
She was a showman. Not only would she hit the shot, she'd probably call the shot. Do you want me to hit this high over that tree? Well, yeah, she did it. She had that much confidence, great confidence in her ability to do things.
She was very interested in getting women's golf going and wanted a professional organization to do that.
Her greatest legacy probably was helping establish and being an instrumental of the Ladies Professional Golf Association.
She was a leader in trying to create more opportunities for women.
Which was a pioneer. I mean, it laid the groundwork for women in golf. I am actually an LPGA teaching pro, and I get to do what I do because of Babe starting the LPGA.
Babe would go out and promote and do personal appearances. It could be at a local ball game, it could be at a boxing match, it could be at a grocery store, to sell tickets for the gallery to come out and see the LPGA players. It was a new thing, I mean, a tour.
I think one of the reasons the LPGA was very successful in the beginning was because Babe was the entertainer.
It didn't set well with a few of them on the LPGA tour, and there was some jealousy. Louise Suggs could not stand her lightheartedness and the joking and stuff like that. Not to disrupt their play so much, but I think to keep them light. But she was also the drawing card for the upstart of the Ladies Professional Golf Association.
The sad side of her life, I think, is when she did come down with the cancer.
The cancer, was diagnosed in 1953.
This was going to be different for her.
After playing at a tournament in the Broadmoor, she drove home to the farm to stay overnight, and my mother was doing dishes in the kitchen. And she started yelling at my mom, Annie, come out here quick. And she says, and bring a towel. And so Mom went out, and there was blood on the seat. This was before she was diagnosed. And my mother said, oh my God, Babe, She says, you have to go see a doctor. Oh, no, I've got all these exhibitions to do. George has lined up all these exhibitions. I can't let these people down. Well, she let it go.
I think if she would have went sooner to the doctor, they would have caught it. But at the time that Babe had cancer, they were treating it differently. And I think that she knew she was only going to live so long.
And the doctors told her, hey, if she had the surgery, she would have to retire from golf. And she decided that wasn't going to happen. So she had the surgery, and she actually played in a golf tournament, I think 3 months after that, and won that tournament, which was incredible, that she could come back and play with her colostomy bag.
The most satisfying to her, and people really don't realize that, is the 1954 U.S. Women's Open.
The final round of the Women's National Open at the Salem Country Club near Boston.
Thursday, 18 holes, Friday, 18 holes, and then finishes it up on a Saturday 36-hole final.
Babe drops a 6-footer to preserve her par and her big lead. Mrs. Zaharias, who's so far ahead the rest can hardly see her with a telescope.
This was right after she had her colostomy. Can you believe it?
Mrs. Zaharias has the crown wrapped up. Just 18 months ago, she underwent an operation for cancer. Everyone said her career was over, but here she is, winning by a mile.
She won that tournament by 12 shots. And that was one tournament where I think Babe, usually she would do a funny thing if she won a tournament, jump in my uncle's arms or do a cartwheel on the green or something like that. She took off her hat and she bowed to the gallery. And then her acceptance speech, she thanked God for letting her play again.
I don't like to keep bringing up this hospital deal of mine, but I was laying there in room 201 at the Hotel Du Hospital, and these reports were going out about that I never play championship or tournament golf again. And I laid in the bed and I says, please, God, let me play again. And he answered my prayer. And I want to thank God for letting me win again. It's really wonderful.
After her operation in 1953, she told her husband, George, that she wanted to do something so that no one has to go through what she went through and to help fight this terrible disease. And she says, let's start a Babe Zaharias Cancer Fund. And many, many tournaments are held in honor of Babe.
Babe was the first spokeswoman for the American Cancer Society.
The time of my aunt's death was 1956. My uncle called first, but then we heard it on the radio. And it just kind of stunned us all. It was just shocked us. She battled that cancer. It was just so bad. The one thing that she always said, she says, cancer will never beat me. I'm going to be cremated, and I will beat it. I'm not going to lay in the grave and be eaten by the cancer. I'm going to beat it. All of this played into her becoming the world's greatest athlete.
Sports Illustrated's honorees for individual sport, Female Athlete of the Century, all faced barriers, and they all shattered those barriers. In the process, helping to create a movement that, going into the 21st century, is strong and vital.
Anything you could do, she could do better. Babe Didrikson Zaharias won Olympic gold medals in the javelin and hurdles 16 years before she won the first of her 3 U.S. Opens in golf. She was named after the baseball slugger, but there is simply no one in the annals of sport quite like this Babe, whose versatility seems the stuff of fiction.
But there's no question in my mind that she could compete right now and be very successful.
What I learned from her was practice, Be truthful to yourself. Be honest. Be an honest person.
She created the tour, which gave that opportunity for women to compete for money, like the men did.
This was her philosophy in life. Be good, do good, be the winner. And that she was. She was the winner.
And if you think about it, this is a girl from Port Arthur, Texas, who never graduated from high school and makes it as the greatest athlete of all time. I'm going to go on record and say the greatest athlete of all time.
She's not make-believe. She wasn't made up. She's a real person. She really lived. She really had her triumphs.
She broke the mold for women and paved the way for us to be able to have more opportunity in golf, to be able to play in more tournaments.
I think every girl should be told her story and that they could do it if they want to.
I don't know of another male athlete or female athlete who could play that many sports and excel. She was a champion.
You can do anything in the world that you want to do. You can be anything that you want to be, but your success or your failure will not depend on genius, talent, age, appearance, health, or luck. It will depend strictly on you.